All right, everyone. I'm just going to do a quick check here. Now I'm going to click present. How do I present this? Present. And we are live. Yep. Testing. Yep. All right, great. Hello, everyone. My name is Mark Miano. This is our, I think, 5th webinar here at Glew, and we're very excited to be back. I'm our VP of Sales and Partnerships if this is your first webinar, and just super excited to be talking with you today. Who we have today is a guest. This is a very special webinar, near and dear to my heart. We got Daniel, the CTO of one of our agency partners, Gage. Daniel has an incredible track record of developing fantastic websites and growing e-commerce and multi-channel businesses over his career. So we're going to have a tag team today to help everyone who is partaking in this call reach a new level of profitability when growing their business. From the get-go, the topic today will be how successful e-commerce leaders use their data, right? That's the title of the webinar, so let's hope that's the actual topic. But all jokes aside, between Daniel and I, we have probably seen near 1,000 different e-commerce and multi-channel accounts and merchants over the years. Yeah. Some of these companies have absolutely crushed it and are growing like crazy and are still here and making lots of money. Others aren't. It's capitalism, baby, right? So the idea is, what are the successful companies or the successful leaders doing with their data to intelligently and efficiently grow their business? Daniel obviously has a lot of experience on the agency side. I have a lot of experience actually on the data side. And the way that this is going to be structured is Daniel's going to go first and give some deep insight and background on the situation and the problem and how we're going to go about solving it. Then I'm going to go ahead and follow up with the actual data points themselves. So Daniel, and one last thing, any questions, please feel free to drop them in the Q&A box on the right-hand side of your chat. We're not going to take questions intermittently in the beginning or the middle of the call. We're going to save those to the end. So Daniel, do you want to take it from here?
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, thanks everybody for joining us today. I'd like to talk a little bit about what we see in our work and what we've seen over the years that the most successful e-commerce brands do to use their existing data to continually level up and grow their business. First, a little bit about us. We work with e-commerce merchants to make carefully planned, carefully executed, highly successful migrations from one e-commerce platform to another. This, as many of you know, is not an easy task ever. Usually tens of millions of dollars are on the line, many jobs are on the line, sometimes your own, and many times the future trajectory of your company. It's pretty high stakes stuff. Our solution that we do is, before we do any migration, is we do a planning project where we deploy our team of experts, usually developers, designers, business analysts, and we come on site and work with your company and develop a highly detailed, nuanced plan to migrate you. It's personalized for your business, and then we execute that transition. As you imagine, that's a very data-heavy job. And when we're doing that thorough job, we're collecting all of the data points that you need from each of your various departments that you're either collecting currently or planning to collect on your new platform, and make sure we get that in the plan. So this always varies from company to company, industry to industry. A lot of times, actually, the companies themselves have no idea how different departments collect or have access to data or use that data for their existing systems today. We speak with everybody from the company, from the C-level executives, the managers, customer support reps, all the way down to the folks in the warehouse packing the boxes. And a couple of the departments I'd really like to single out today where we find the most surprising amounts of information or kind of observations, and goes today's discussion. And those departments are accounting and marketing. You know, in talking with the folks in those departments, we come again and again across a very interesting and frankly, sometimes a terrifying thing. A lot of companies do not understand if they're making money. They don't know how much money from which specific customers, and then how to monetize that information and build marketing around it. A lot of companies that we see kind of operate in a very similar manner of a 1 to 3 year old business, where they pull up their bank account, they say, well, how much money's in there? What are the expenses coming up? Is that more than the same time last year that we made? Okay, then we must be making money. But do you actually understand how you're making that money and from who? A lot of companies have full-blown ERPs, things like an Oracle system, a NetSuite, an SAP, or they have QuickBooks or an equivalent. But very few to almost none of them actually synergize that data with the large amounts of data that's coming from the e-commerce and marketing platforms. They're not able to understand how to marry individual customer sales versus, for example, the discounts that are given on a particular sale, the price changes of that products over time affecting profitability on a per customer and per sale basis, and especially something like customer lifetime value, which is so incredibly important to understand. But very few people can access that data, and if they can, it takes an awful lot of time and energy to get it. What you really need is a system for executives and line folks to be able to access that data in real time. And let me make this very clear. The folks who are in these departments of marketing and accounting are really doing an incredible job. They truly are. It's not their fault. They simply haven't had the right tools. Again and again, the folks who are on those teams are really asked to do the most with the least. And if you didn't get those people in your departments, in your company, a really nice Valentine's Day present, I highly recommend you rectify that immediately and grovel immediately for forgiveness. But how do you know if you're one of these companies that I'm talking about? It's actually pretty easy. Simply ask yourself, can I within 10 minutes go and get the average customer lifetime value, also known as LTV, for the last 2-3 years? How about could you get the LTV of customers you acquired through, just say, for example, purely your email marketing or from your social marketing? Could you even generate those numbers at all? If the answer to that question is no, then you're one of the businesses Glew was built for, and that's what Mark is going to talk about today. Frankly, I think you'd all probably agree with me that you're much more likely to make money if you have data that you can actually use, data that doesn't require a double PhD in mathematics and theoretical particle physics to generate, as long as it allows you to, and once you have that, you can take that and actually focus on the part of the business that actually makes you money, which is really sales and marketing. Understanding the data you already have is critical. If you're a successful online business now making around 5 million a year, what took you to 5 million is different than what you need to get to 10 million. Luck can get you to 5 million annually, but you really got to have the data and informed decisions to get to 10 million a year and above, and then double it and double it. You simply can't fake this stuff. You have to have access to it. Almost all the companies we speak to know that they should be getting this data in real time, and many want that as one of the part of the projects moving forward. But they really ask the question quite frequently, well, how do I get it? What tools do I need? I feel like I have tools that should be giving me this information, but for some reason I can't get it when I need it. And keep in mind, we've heard this from multi-billion-dollar brands that we work with all the way down to mom and pop operations. This affects almost every business, regardless of their gross revenue. Chances are your business is not either too large or too small to have this exact same challenge. So if you're feeling it, don't feel bad. This is a very common issue. One of my favorite business quotes of all time comes from a 19th century Philadelphia retailer named John Wanamaker, who supposedly said, "Half the money I spend on advertising is wasted. The trouble is I don't know which half." Chances are that comment might sting a little bit for some of y'all on the call today, as you probably realize that quote could be talking about you too. One of the questions you have to ask constantly in order to be successful in marketing today is answering questions like, what percentage of my revenue comes from what percentage of my customer base? You need to be able to answer some sometimes dangerous questions that you may not like the answer to like, which, for example, would be, which segments of my customers are unprofitable? It is possible to sell a product to a customer when you account for all sales, shipping, discounts, taxes, and other ancillary things where it actually turns out that they're not profitable, especially when you start taking returns into account. This is really where the value of leveraging the data really comes in. This is the number one challenge that I see merchants actually having, is that they all have the weapons grade marketing tools, the high-tech email system, social posting, analytics. But once they have all that, they come to this really terrifying realization of, now what do I do with this? Who do I send stuff to? About what products? What's a message that's resonated? Most merchants have those tools, like I talked about, but they can do really extremely targeted marketing and really advanced segmentation. But the problem is they don't have any targets loaded into it or anything besides the very, very basic customer segments, usually things like geography or just simply new customer, repeat customer. And let me be clear about this. This is fine. This stuff is really complicated. And for the longest time, there was no tool which could do this in an easy way. But that's really the genius of Glew. It not only does that, but it makes it easy for your team and you to do this and to understand the data that comes out of it. And that's really the power of it, the synergistic effect. And all really merchants really need is a little helping hand to get started on this. They're not aware that the answer to who do I market to and what do I do, the question is actually already in their data. You just haven't had the tool set to look at it. Keep in mind that your best customer is your existing customer. The net acquisition cost of a customer you already have is effectively zero. The potential revenue, though, that you can get out of them is essentially unlimited. This depends on your industry, of course. For example, if you're in the direct-to-consumer casket business, after you sell a casket to one person, chances are you're not going to be selling another one to them. At least I certainly hope not. Ultimately, there's only 3 ways to make money. It doesn't matter what your industry is. If you're selling turbines to nuclear power plants or underwater fire prevention kits, it's basically the same for everybody, and it bears repeating. Option 1 is you increase the total number of sales, which means getting more customers. Well, 2, you increase the average frequency of sales, generally having more people buy more often from you. Or 3, increase the average total dollar value and revenue per sale, having people buy things that cost more. And that's really it. So how do you as a business owner go about increasing all of those 3 variables in a consistent manner from year to year? And it's in a word, data. Fortunately, you're actually in a good position. If you've actually been in business for a couple of years, you're basically sitting on the oil, in the equivalent of an oil gusher, but you really never knew it because you haven't had access to a tool that could mine all of that and allow you to leverage it. So, again, what I see frequently is that merchants wish they had, but don't actually have as a tool that says, what is a customer's lifetime value? And then saying, how can I break that out per channel? And for example, even numbers like lifetime profit per customer, per acquisition channel. This really, really helps you guys when it comes to marketing. This is really an area where a lot of merchants go by feel on choosing the budget for marketing channels and how much to spend on them, which really isn't a scalable business solution. You really have to mind your P's and Q's and your pennies and understanding the ramifications of what happens when you sell to a customer through a certain channel and if they're a good customer and how much profit they're actually making your business. And this is really where Glew comes in. It not only allows you to get that data, you don't really have to work too hard for it either. It just is simply there for you and your team to use. And once you have the data, you can act on it easily. So that's something that we are really excited about here at Gauge for Glew. And really, that's it for me today, talking about the product. I'll pass this over here to Mark. Feel free. My contact information is on the screen if anybody wants to chat further, or if you're in a direct-to-consumer funeral supplies industry, you can send me an Instagram too. That'll work. Daniel, thank you so much. Extremely insightful and really helpful to get that from someone who, again, has an incredibly strong and proven track record in the industry, and also some fun jokes along the way there. I hope to never have to buy my own casket, so for me, for anyone else. All right, guys. Well, that's a great segue into what we're going to talk about today, and what we're going to really focus on today, because there's a vast amount of analytics, but the most important analytic, in my opinion, is lifetime value. Why is lifetime value important? Well, I think this equation sums it up pretty nice. Lifetime value minus cost is going to be your profit. Oh, I'm not sharing my screen. Let me make sure that I am. 1 second for me, folks. Hey, can you help me? Where am I going wrong here? Got it. Sorry, folks. Sharing the screen now. All right, and just so you know, this is Daniel's contact information. Okay, so I'll let everyone pause and take a screenshot. You're probably just staring at me and Daniel's face there, which I think is a pretty good one. I
think we're both pretty handsome guys. But anyway, quickly take a screenshot of Daniel's information here if you can. I'll wait about 5 seconds and then we'll move on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, let's move on. So why is LTV valuable? Well, this equation sums it up pretty nice. LTV minus costs equals profit. And profit is why we get up in the morning, right? Well, maybe not the only reason why we get up in the morning, but it should be a pretty big one because I love making money and reinvesting that money back in the company, taking it home with me and buying my wife some nice flowers and things of that nature. So let's let this equation sink in for a moment, because now what we're going to do is actually start digging seriously into lifetime value. Back in university, what lifetime value would be described as is the amount of money that someone's going to spend with you until one of two really bad things happen. That customer dies or you go out of business. So I think I don't want the theme of this whole thing to be death and caskets or whatever, but that's truly what it means. And that's why it's so important for us to understand it. And also why it's so difficult to measure is because it's constantly in flux. The equation mathematically for lifetime value is the first bullet point. It's the average order value of a person or group of people multiplied by the average purchase frequency of a person or group of people, okay? So just like Daniel said, the more that someone buys from me and the more often somebody buys from me, the more efficient my business is going to become. And that's profound, right? Because it's not just about pedaling super, super fast to acquire as many customers as possible. It's about understanding how to acquire the right customers, i.e. the customers who have the potentially highest LTV, and then thinking about how to upsell them. Now, in the aggregate, you're going to find that you're going to be one of two quote unquote types of companies. Either I'm going to be an average order value heavy company or an average purchase frequency heavy company. Let me give you an example. Average order value heavy company. That's a company that has a lot of work and marketing costs that go into just getting one big fat sale. Think about something like Carvana, that new company that's like the quote unquote vending machine, the car vending machine that we might have seen commercials for over the past decade or so. There's an intense amount of advertising that goes into Carvana's strategy leading up to one big fat sale. And then they're done. I mean, I don't know about you, but I hope I only have to buy a car like once every 10 years or so. And that's an average order value heavy company. There's an entire library of data science that I can share with you on that. But what we're going to find in the aggregate is that most often is we're going to be working with average purchase frequency heavier companies. That's really where the e-commerce world is right now. And the definition of an average purchase frequency heavier type company is simply a company whose goal it is to get the particular customer to buy at least twice. Even a phone case company, right? Even though there's large swaths of time between buying phone cases, a phone case company is still an average purchase frequency heavy type company because one of these days you will get a new cell phone and you will have to protect that cell phone. And the lifetime value for you in particular will rise if you go back to the same company to purchase a second, third, or fourth cell phone case. Since today we're going to talk a lot about average purchase frequency heavier type companies, let's outline some goals for that type of company. All right. Goal number one is we want to acquire the right customer. So I'm going to ask everyone on this call to do something a little bit scary. I'm going to ask you to give up a little bit of your conversion rate, which it's been drilled into your brain how important that is. And don't get me wrong, it's important. We're going to give up a little bit of that conversion rate in order to attract customers who have the highest potential LTV. Let me give you a fairly bad example. I bought a bikini recently for my wife from a women's swimsuit website. I am not a bikini merchant's right customer, guys. I'm a dude. I don't wear bikinis. I know no one would judge me if I did here in 2019 or whatnot. But think about that. My lifetime value is pretty much capped at that one bathing suit purchase because it was a gift. And this bikini company is most likely going to retarget me, right? They're going to spend time and money in trying to get me to buy again to no avail. I promise you I am not going to buy another bikini for as long as I live from that website, just because I've already forgotten what website it was on. It was a tertiary thought to my mind. After we acquire the right customers, in this case, women who probably live by the beach, right? We then want to upsell those customers. And thus, we're going to grow that LTV while keeping the costs super low. We're going to increase the LTV over time. And the difference between those two numbers, like I said back in this slide, is profit. We want this one to be super fat, this one to be super low, and this one to be super large. Now, if I switch back over here, to, bear with me, this screen, so let's take a look at some data of exactly what I'm talking about. This chart right here does a really good job of demonstrating what life.
Mark, I think the screen share froze. We're still on the lifetime value slide.
Okay, thank you. I'm gonna let it catch up. I'm gonna wait for. We good?
Looks fine.
Okay. Dana, we good?
Maybe I'm seeing on my side, but if everybody else is seeing it, then go ahead. Yep, it looks like everybody's good. Mm-hmm.
This is the lifetime value of a store rolling over a year. And what we're looking for, guys, is not the lifetime value of your store at any given moment. That's not telling the story. What we're looking for is the rate of change on the slope of this line over time, because the rate of change on that slope is, in fact, telling us the story if you are, in fact, accomplishing the two goals that I just outlined, which is acquiring the right customer and upselling them. Check it out. I have my repeat and new customers down here, right, over the same time period. The blue, the repeat customer, that's pushing the slope of the line up. If I were to cut acquisition altogether for you, what would happen is your lifetime value would dramatically rise and then start plateauing due to diminishing marginal returns, right? Let's say, let's go back to the phone case example. I only need so many phone cases personally. And that's what I mean by diminishing marginal returns, which is why I need the new customer. Each new customer is inherently starting at a lifetime value of 0. And that new customer acquisition is putting healthy downward pressure on the slope of your LTV, which is actually a good thing, not a bad thing. So I get a lot of calls around Black Friday. Mark, my lifetime value is crashing. What am I going to do? Actually, that's a great thing to see on Black Friday, right? Because you're getting an influx of new customers or a spike of new customers that you don't normally get, but that's laying down a strong foundation for growth moving forward in the future. Now, of course, this is the slope of the LTV that you're looking for, the LTV curve that you're looking for. And when you plug your data into Glew, this is the first thing I go to quickly get an idea of the health of the store and where to look. But that's a good segue into this slide. Check, can everyone see the slide? Okay. It's the who, what, where, and when. So there's one thing to have, okay, I want to increase my LTV while keeping my customer acquisition cost as low as possible. Well, yeah, everyone wants to do that. But how do I go about doing it right away? What am I going to be looking for? And what is the method to the madness in order to grow my business? Well, you're looking at it right here. Essentially, we're going to align what I call the 4 cornerstones. It's optimizing who you're selling to, what you're selling to them, where you're selling to them, and when you're selling to them. If I find somebody that wants to buy something from me, where and when they're looking for it, well, they're most likely going to buy it. So we're going to align these variables systematically over and over and over again via looking through the lens of lifetime value in order to, again, accomplish those two goals, which is attracting the highest paying customer and then upselling them. Now let's go ahead and get right into the tool. And I'll just do a quick check. You good? All right. We're first going to start with who. Now, this is going to revolve around customer segmentation. When people hear customer segmentation, they typically jump right to their Klaviyo account or right to their MailChimp account and think about marketing automations. And they're not wrong. They're just skipping a step. before we blindly start setting up marketing automations like Daniel was alluding to, let's make sure that we're setting up the right marketing automations first. For example, let's take the NFL. We do a lot of business with the NFL. If you think of the NFL, they're unique in the aspect that they really have to segment out their customer base by geographic region, right? Try sending a bunch of Tom Brady jerseys out to LA. Good luck. So instead of doing that, I'm going to say create a segment, number of orders is greater than or equal to 1, and maybe I say city is Boston, and every single time it's time to market to New England fans, I'm not scratching my head wondering where to send it. These segments save and push over to the email platform, and I'm off to my marketing automations. But what if I'm the NFL and I, like everyone on this call, have a finite amount of time? And I have to understand which of these 40-some different markets I'm going to concentrate on over others. I hope that you're not going to treat every single market the same. That would be a really poor use of your time. Instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these segments, in this case, geographic areas, and I'm going to rank them in order of lifetime value. And the higher the lifetime value of that segment of people, the more curious I'm going to be about the characteristics that group of people share, so I can go find more people like these people to set myself up for success, i.e. maximizing my LTV and minimizing my costs. Now, in this case, my VIP customers, let's read this. Ranking customers by the revenue they have generated, these customers are in the top 10% of your customer base. I see that in the past year, 39.3% of my annual revenue is coming from these people. Is that good? Well, I can answer that for you. The most successful e-commerce stores have about 30 to 40% of their annual revenue coming from their top 10% of their customer base. Too low? You need to upsell. Too high? You need to acquire. May I suggest exporting the CSV file of your highest LTV customers and importing that into Facebook lookalike audiences and allow Facebook to go hunt down people who share the same characteristics as your highest paying customer base. Or even more importantly, I should be able to go up to any one of your quote unquote VIP customers on the street, tap them on the shoulder and say, hey, are you a VIP customer of Merchant A? And they should look back at me like I'm absolutely crazy and say, you damn right I am, because Merchant A communicated that to me. They treat me like a VIP customer. The best digital marketing in the world will pale in comparison to the fresh, warm leads that your happiest customers will bring to you on their own, right? Decreasing costs, increasing LTV. Now, I'm not going to abuse our time by going through every single one of these segments. So we're going to move on to the advertising portion, or the quote unquote where. I'm sure everyone on this particular call is familiar with attribution modeling. And if you're not, we have a completely separate webinar for it, but I'm going to give a mini one here around attribution modeling, or assigning sales credit to different touch points in the customer journey. Google Analytics uses a last click attribution model. What that does is, you're looking at it right here, is I have the order, and then I see the channel and the campaign clicked right before that order. There's a strength to this model. It's good for upselling. But in the weakness category, the problem is that orders don't buy things. People do. So when I'm tying back all of my data to the order, I'm opening up myself to making decisions off of correlation and not causation. What I'm going to be looking at, and we're going to be using today, is what I call the most practical attribution model, which is a first purchase attribution model. All right. What this model is that you're looking at is the channel and campaign that got John Doe to buy for the first time is going to get credit for all of John Doe's purchases. So for example, let's say in March 2018 here, I'm John Doe and I come in through CPC Google and buy for the first time. CPC Google will get credit for that sale. But let's say in November, I come in through direct and I buy a second time through direct in November. Well, CPC Google will still get credit for that sale because CPC Google got me to buy for the first time. We're looking at revenue by channel and net profit by channel, but we still got a problem. Channels don't buy things either, just like orders don't. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to come back to lifetime value and come down to what I call the Shark Tank table. And I'm going to take my channels and rank them in order of LTV. And now everyone should be having that aha moment. Oh, this is why the first purchase attribution model is powerful, because it is the only attribution model where we can assign a lifetime value to my advertising strategy. Kind of goes something like this. I have 800 people who buy first from email. These guys pay $253 each with me. I have 800 people who buy first from affiliate. These guys pay $133 each with me. They pay less than half with me. By moving my effort and time and resources out of this strategy and placing that into this strategy, we're going to capture higher paying customers. And what you're going to see is the new customers will rise faster up here than down here. And we already acknowledge that each new customer is starting with a lifetime value of 0. And you're going to be driving down the lifetime value of that channel and capturing efficiencies and monies for your company. It doesn't really matter how many new customers are coming out of each column. What matters is that you're capturing the highest paying customer. And when this column right here is the same dollar amount, which most likely will never happen, would mean regardless of what strategy you're attracting your customer through, they're spending the same amount of money with you. If you want to delve deeper into attribution modeling, I highly recommend you sign up for a trial with Glew, and we can have a one-on-one conversation with your data and add some much needed context most likely around it. The next thing that we're going to talk about is a product offering. Okay, I'm going to the product area, and we all have a limitation as a merchant. I have a finite amount of SKUs. And with these SKUs, what I need to do is I need to use these to attract the highest paying customer and to upsell them. What we're going to look at is the lifetime value of the product. See this column right here? And if I click into the product detail, if you're wondering where we get this number, I'll show you. I'm clicking into the Costa Rica sandal, and let's come down here to the purchasing customer CSV file right here. This number, 508, is the average order value multiplied by the average purchase frequency of the people who bought this product. The higher this number, the earlier in the customer journey I'm going to present that product in order to attract customers with the tastes that make the upsell easier, right? That make that LTV as fat as possible and the cost as low as possible. Let me show you an example. I work with this company called William Murray Golf, all right? Bill Murray's golf and clothing line. Love Bill. When they first wrote in, this picture was not Bill Murray in this shirt. It was this really good-looking Ralph Lauren dude wearing this white polo shirt. And what was happening is they were pushing their highest margin product, which was that shirt, and a bunch of frat dudes were coming to the site, buying once and leaving forever. Their highest lifetime value product is this shirt. It's the funky long sleeve button down patterned shirts. I am not saying that when we get people to buy this shirt, they have this epiphany and then start buying Bill Murray stuff. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that people who have tastes for this shirt live a lifestyle friendly to a Bill Murray wardrobe. They golf in the winter. They've seen Caddyshack. They got a funky personality. And what you'll see here is if I go into their best sellers, is you'll see that they have embraced this funky pattern. This is their comparative advantage as a business. They truly understand the tastes of the people who repeatedly come back and where the LTV goes sky high. You might think that the Jeweled Evening Clutch is that product to put front on the website. Sorry to disappoint, it's not. It only has one order. So instead, what we're going to look for are statistically significant LTV numbers. The products that have a high amount of orders and a high amount of LTV, because those are the products that your highest paying customers have the taste for. And then when I click into the product, now I have my basket analysis, how to upsell, and there's plenty of automations to go ahead once we acquire the right customer to push these people down through the funnel to the second, third, and fourth purchase. But again, we're not going to get to that today to keep things high level. But we truly are masters at what we call the quote unquote buying order spectrum. What products to present first, what products to present last, and everywhere in between. The last thing that we're going to cover, guys, then we'll open up for questions, is timing. Now, There is no LTV assigned to timing, but timing is important because it is what is going to be your best friend or worst enemy when cutting to that upsell. Too early, we're going to become annoying and they're going to hit the unsubscribe button. Too late, a competitor is going to swoop in and steal our customer from us. What we do is we crawl through every repeat purchase and average out all the distance between your repeat purchases. That average distance is called your lapse point. Your lapse point, again, is the average distance between your repeat purchases. But another way you can think of it is that it is the amount of time that you as a merchant have with your customer to upsell that customer before chances are, based on your data, that customer isn't coming back. From that moment, we place a customer into an active, at risk, or lost status. You cannot be more than one of these statuses at a time. If I come back here to the CRM system, you'll see these statuses live throughout all of Glew. They're predefined segments that push over to Klaviyo and the email platform. And even if I click into the customer detail, I'll even tell you where your customer lives on that status and how to treat them. Active customers are less than 80% of the way through lapse point. Please do not ask these people to buy again. They just bought from you. Make it their idea to buy again. For example, I work with a laundry detergent company. When you buy from them, they get you the laundry detergent, make sure that you got it, show celebrities using it, tell you how to wash your clothes without them wearing out, how to organize your dorm without stepping over all your clothes and all the laundry baskets everywhere. They're adding value to your life, and they're not asking you to buy. They're trying to win your trust and become the top of mind when you think laundry detergent. At-risk customers, oh baby, we're now over 80% of the way through lapse point. Time to push. If I had a first purchase, at-risk customer, I'm going to push you. I'm going to email you every day. I'm going to offer you a discount. I'm going to get creative. And I'm going to push you hard for 3 reasons. Number 1, I earned the right to because I haven't asked you to buy yet. I've been building value this whole time and active. Second is that if you pass lapse point, I lost you anyway. So I got nothing to lose. And the third is that I'm not pushing you to buy a second time. Don't get me wrong, I need the second purchase, but I'm pushing you in the expectation that you buy a 3rd, 4th, 5th time on your own because I've now gotten you to get into a habit, which is buying from me. Lost customers aren't lost forever. It's just probably what you're used to with a normal email campaign, new product launches, their birthday, just a casual check-in moment, probably once a quarter to keep them warm and keep yourself top of mind. All right, guys, so we pretty much covered everything today. I'm going to pause here, and this would be a good time to go through some questions. I know we covered a lot. It might be a little bit overwhelming. Let's cover as many questions as we can.
Jordan just asked, how do we set up a call?
Jordan, what you can do is you can go up into the upper right-hand corner of glew.io, Glew.io, and click free trial. Also, you can leave your email address in the box, and I can follow up with you personally if you'd rather do that. Either way is fine with us. That's an easy question.
Jonathan just asked, Q1, offer monthly pricing or quarterly? I don't know if that's Glew specific.
Is that asking about pricing for Glew's platform?
Yeah.
Yes, I think he said Glew specific. That might be a good question to follow up separately.
Yeah, I think that'd be a good
Yeah.
thing to follow up separately.
Jonathan, we can follow up with you after the call. I can pick you up and we can shoot you an email.
Anybody else?
I think we covered a lot.
Jonathan said, since your tab is open, tell me about Salesforce Commerce Cloud integration.
Yeah, great question. We just launched our Salesforce Commerce Cloud integration a couple quarters ago. Very exciting stuff. One of the things that you should know, Jonathan, is that, without getting too technical, we are a quote-unquote intelligent data warehouse. meaning we're going to take all of your sources, whether it's Salesforce Commerce Cloud, BigCommerce, Amazon, Klaviyo, whatever, and transform all that data into one structure. So we treat Salesforce Commerce Cloud, you know, just like any other cart system. I'm sure it has features and stuff, and you like your Salesforce Commerce Cloud for certain reasons. But from a BI standpoint, we're ready to work with you when you are.
2 more questions I see. Jordan asks, can we sync MailChimp directly, or do we need to export manually all the time?
You can
Great
sync.
question.
You can sync directly. No, it's a fully automated experience.
Yep, and we have some documentation on that, Jordan. If you need some additional documentation, feel free to reach out to our support team and we can send that over. Calvin asked, based on what you guys said, I only heard of ways for email marketing. Any other ways we can target our customers?
Yeah, so you can export the groups of customers and import them into your programmatic media or other channels. Also note that in the near future, we will be auto pushing, just like we auto push the customer segments over to Klaviyo and MailChimp. We're also planning on auto pushing those customer segments and loading them into Facebook and Google AdWords too for further automations.
There's somebody else who wants, I think, kind of a one-on-one overview of this, but I don't see any other questions. Anybody else?
Yeah, and on that note, guys, some of this stuff, just because I'm the one running the webinar and I know the context of what's going on, if you can leave your email address in there, and then Abby and I will follow up directly with you, that will save you the headache of having to go through our typical marketing channels and delaying any answers you might want.
We've got a couple more quick ones. Jonathan asked, segment syncing, Glew segments to MailChimp or SFMC. I'm thinking that Salesforce Marketing Cloud.
Ooh, Salesforce Marketing Cloud. One of the things, guys, on syncing with other systems is that we are not one of those companies that pushes away opportunities. If you really need us to sync with a certain system, we'll go ahead and build that connection for you and that automation for you. It will be a little extra monies, but we think on our feet and won't turn away an opportunity.
And just to reiterate, we do offer an automated segment sync to MailChimp currently.
Yes. Klaviyo and MailChimp are the only ones we have the automated syncs to currently.
Yeah. Taylor just asked, when you talked about retargeting your LTV customers through Facebook, can you go through that quickly again?
Yeah, sure. It's really simple. I'm sorry. I know I'm jumping around here. When I come over here into customer segments, or it could be any group of any CSV file of customers, export as CSV, that CSV will be downloaded on your computer. And then if you type in like Google Facebook lookalike audiences, there will be clear steps on how to take that CSV file of email addresses and to upload those into Facebook lookalike audiences. The way to think of it is the data is being mapped by the email address. So when I'm a Facebook user, I have an email address, right? So what Facebook does is it looks at all the current email addresses that you just uploaded in there and then uses whatever personalized information to try to find people like the email addresses and profiles that you uploaded into the system.
And last one from Calvin, any plans for a Conversio integration?
Very good question. Calvin, for you, we should talk one-on-one. We think of us as an integrations company. So we don't currently have that integration, but I would love to speak with you about building it for you specifically. It takes about 60 days, by the way, to do that.
That looks like it. Calvin said, how can I talk to you personally? Calvin, if you want to...
Email address.
Yeah, leave your email, or you can email mark.miano@glew.io, and we'll follow up with you.
Yeah, and maybe I'll just put my email address up here, guys. Just really quickly.
I can type it in the chat too.
Yeah. Mark, I got a kind of strange last name. At mark.miano@glew.io, mark.mian as in Nancy O @glew.io. I always kid around like this, Mark, M-A-R-K dot, it's like piano, but with an M instead of a P, like Miano piano @glew.io. I always get a chuckle there, but yeah.
Cool, that looks like it for questions.
Great, guys. Well, by the way, let's give a shout out to Daniel. Thank you for providing your insight, Daniel. We really appreciate it. I also think that if you need any help with your website, let's make sure that we connect Daniel with the appropriate people as well. He's a trusted partner of ours, and we look forward to the next webinar.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, huge thanks to Daniel and Gage for joining us. And if any of you guys are local to North Carolina or South Carolina, anywhere in the area, we'll be joining Gage on March 28th at their campfire event in Charlotte. It's going to be an event about optimizing the customer journey. So if any of you guys are local and would like to join us at that event, feel free to follow up with any of us afterwards. Cool.
All right.
Thank you very much. Have a great day.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, everybody, for joining.